In Benue State today, many rural communities feel like ghost towns. They are empty, quiet, and lifeless. These places used to be lively with kids playing around and farmers working in their fields and family gathering together for worship. But now these communities have been overtaken by unknown gunmen. And what used to be a lively place with farms cultivated on to yield produce for people to feed on has now been taken and seized by these unknown gunmen. And these people have not only chased citizens or occupants from their homes, but they have instilled fear in them because these attackers hide in the bushes waiting for people to come out, and then they attack them immediately, killing them and leaving others wounded. Houses have been ruined and crops have been destroyed, and fear has replaced the peace that used to be in these places. People don't return home, not because they don't want to, but because they cannot go back. We have heard of cases where people try to return home to cultivate crops because of hunger, but they get killed in the process. The people of Benue State who once sang songs of praises and peace now cry out from a place of sorrow. The recent wave of brutal attacks on the villages of Okom and local government areas has left at least 72 people dead, countless people wounded, and entire communities devastated. What should have been a place of peace and belonging instead has been abandoned by residents because of the attacks and killings that occurred. It was reported that heavily armed attackers stormed these communities and opened fire on farmers, traders, and worshippers without warning. And in a matter of days, these evil people with no regard for humanity destroyed homes and scattered families. Today, thousands of survivors are left homeless, and they only remember how peaceful and productive their homes were. There is a history behind the killings in Benue State, and we have our Vice President of Ignition 633 Ministries to tell us the story of how these killings and attack started in Nigeria, in Benue State and in other states as well.
Yeah, so the farmer header crisis dates as far back as 1800s, when the first case of a herdsman killing a farmer was noticed and recorded. But then with time, it has become more of a recurrent decimal, where every now and then there are lots of killings and all that. In Benue State, in the 90s, I would say, the killings were just quite a few. But then as from 2010 down to the present, the killings have actually multiplied, such that some local governments are even sacked completely. If you go to Gwe West, where the headquarters is in Naka, not up to 10% of the villages are actually habitable. All people are in Naka. The same thing with Kwande, the same with Katsinala, Logo, even Goma local government. So most of the victims of this crisis have actually moved from their villages and are staying where it's perceived as safe. Some are actually in IDP camps, and there's actually multiple IDP camps with large numbers of IDPs. Most times they find it very difficult to feed. Of course, they have been displaced, so they don't even have a place to stay. Of course, you know, Benue State is a food basket of the nation, so bulk of the population depends on farming for feeding. But presently, that is very difficult, and there is serious food crisis in Benue State because farmers cannot go to the farm. The herders have actually, some have even settled on their farms and in their villages. So another effect of this crisis is the fact that most of the towns that persons are now seeking refuge are overcrowded, and most of them don't even have a means of livelihood, no economic activity. So it has led to, more crimes because there is that fight for survival. Additionally, it has actually led to, lots of diseases because most people cannot treat themselves, they are overcrowded, and then they contract a disease. Most recently, mpox, Lassa fever, and many of these easily communicable diseases. So it has been a very difficult situation. But then looking at the foundations of this crisis, initially one would feel it is just fight for survival, herdsmen, fighting to take care of their headers and then their herds of cattle, and farmers, trying to protect their crops. But then with time, there was an ethnic coloration into it and a religious coloration into it. So basically, presently, it seems more of an agenda for land grabbing, where the Fulanis are out, the herdsmen are out to take over these lands. They have done so in Plateau State, where they displace people in Bokos, in Irigwe, Mangu local government, in Riyom, in Barkin-Ladi, where they settle and then even rename such villages in their own names and then have an emir. So one would say that the present crisis is all about land grabbing and then taking over the lands of the Benue and the Plateau, area.
I am Barnabas Benjamin here in IDP camp Mega. I am an IDP. I am happy to make this words known unto you. I was displaced from my village. It happens in this way. When I was there, we are hearing that there are people that are being pursued from their various villages. But of that time, that it was yet to reach to my own area. So one fateful day, I was in the farm with my younger brother and my late brother's wife when we were walking. So at the process, we had a loud voices. People were running up and down. People were running. That we should run. We see smoke everywhere. Why? We did not know why the Fulani herdsmen has already attacked my village while I was in the farm. I see smoke far from me, and before we discover, the people were running out of the house. Rapid shooting was going on. So before we discover, not knowing that there are some herdsmen who are surrounded us in the farm, we did not know. Now, and when they are coming, some of them comes with their machetes. Some of them comes with guns. Some of them come with mighty sticks on their hands. So before we discovered, okay, this is what is happening, we wanted to run. Before we turned back, they shot my younger brother. He fell down at the spot and he died there with this gallon, this sprayer on his back. And we turned back before discovered. They follow up my late brother's wife, and to herself they used machete. That's how they macheted her to pieces. Then I was running, they were following me. Unfortunately, there was one of them who was hiding behind the road. Unknowingly to me, it was the road that I was following. So before I would discover, I had just had a hit on my hand, and that's how my hand broke. And they continued following me till it reached where I was running. I would hold my hand. I was running, struggling to make sure that I escaped them, but they were following up, reaching to approaching where there was a checking point. The policemen were there. Though when they saw that this thing they are following up, then they now released bullet on air, and that's how they were afraid and they went back, and that's how I was rescued by the police people at the checking point. From there, I was taken to the hospital, managed myself till today. Metals have been fixed in my hand. Up to today, the metals are there. I'm here to remove them because it costs a lot of money for me to remove them. So presently now, I don't have money to remove the metals. They're still there. Right now, that's how I found myself in the IDP where I am today. Thank you. God bless you.
Amidst this great darkness, the light of God still shines on people, and he continues to show his love on them. We are grateful and deeply thankful that many lives were spared. We do not take God's goodness and protection for granted. When men failed to protect them, God remained present, preserving lives that the enemy meant to be lost. Benue is hurting and people are wounded, but they are not weak. They are standing tall, praying and believing in a better tomorrow. With every prayer and effort, God will heal us and restore hope in these affected communities. As we reflect on the pain and resilience of Benue people, let us continue to pray that the Lord will restore peace and order in the affected states. Thank you for watching.